Whoa. All right. This meeting is being recorded. And then I know that we all know each other, but if maybe we go around to introduce ourselves and the name that we would like to be called. And I will kind of just moderate a little bit. Sarah is not going to be able to be here today. So Kara and Sarah both were doing Growing in God's Love. So Kara's going to cover that for us. I am Edie Bender. I am the program director at Faith Presbyterian. I work with mostly children and youth programs here, but also we do some adult programs because we don't have a large number of children or youth. And I am part-time. And I also have been working on some curriculum writing. So I'll share a little bit about the Follow Me curriculum in a little bit.
Okay, all right.
I'll go next. I'm Kara Wheeler. I am the Director of Family Ministries at First Presbyterian in Rock Hill. And I started in this position in the middle of the pandemic last June. So I've been here a year, but I work with our Christian Education Committee to plan Sunday school for children, youth, and adults. So.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll go next. And I'm Pat Ankrum from Herman Presbyterian. I'm basically an outreach person and just an involved person with helping the church to grow. And what else could I say?
And you're doing a lot of work this summer.
Oh, yeah. Summer, you're right. I am.
She's babysitting her grandkids.
Great grand.
Oh, great grandkids. Wow. That's awesome.
And I've also seen Pat on a lot of Zoom meetings, so she's also busy at the Presbyterian.
Yes, you're right.
I'm Lisa Johnson. I am the commissioned pastor at Bowling Green Church in Clover. And I signed a covenant with them for a 3-month stint and am celebrating 6 years. Matter of fact, I think next Sunday.
I didn't realize it had been that long.
I didn't either, Edie. I'm telling you, is that not crazy?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Very good. Well, we are hoping that what we chat about today will be helpful for others in the presbytery. We just wanted to kind of cover some what's going on with children's ministry, children's Sunday school, youth Sunday school, and adult Sunday school in some of our churches, so that we might be able to give other people some ideas of what they might do with theirs. So, Kara, I've got you down to talk about growing in God's love in a traditional setting. So if you want to just jump in with that, that would be awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this is the Growing in God's Love Story Bible, and it came out last summer. And I love it because it's short stories of biblical stories, and there's just really great illustrations that go along with each of the stories. And at the end of each story, there's a hear, see, and act response to what you read. So I ended up getting a special donation to use with families, and I purchased a Bible for each of our families to have at home last year. And then last year I sent home an at-home activity guide. In addition to when we began Sunday school, we were using this curriculum. So the curriculum coordinates with each of the stories in different units. The units are 4 or 5, 6 sessions. It just sort of depends. I use the downloadable because that's easiest for me. Because with my Sunday school teachers, I end up adapting the activities. It's way more information than it's possible to do in 30 to 45 minutes. And some of it I want to adapt based on the age range, because we try to divide our classes based on younger children or older children. It's written primarily for kindergarten through 5th grade. But I do use this curriculum with the preschoolers, and I just usually find an additional craft that's on their level or game or something to that nature. So the curriculum's worked really well for us. It offers really great prayers and prayer experiences for the children, and I feel like that's been a nice formative opportunity for them. And yeah, we've enjoyed the curriculum a lot.
That's great. And you meet on Sunday mornings? We do meet on Sunday mornings. How do you have your kids divided up?
Preschool, ages 3 and 4, kindergarten 1st and 2nd, and then 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. Anybody else have any questions for Kara?
I do. You were talking about you have like the home activity guide. Is that something you develop yourself, Kara, or is it something that comes with the program? Or
Well, that's a great question. So this is available on the PCUSA website, the store. And with the curriculum, when you click on it towards the bottom, there's an at-home activity guide download.
Wait a
And
minute.
so their download, do you have that to screen
I have
share?
it. I have it, I think. Hold
Okay,
on.
awesome. It just sort of recommends, these are good activities to suggest families do at home. And so I would use their suggestions and then pare them down. But I ended up using their template and rewriting everything. I'm happy to send you the template if you want to delete my information and put yours in. But yeah, it made it easy. And I don't know how many families actually use the activities. I didn't ever get much feedback, but we and my family enjoyed using them.
I'm slow on switching gears.
I don't know that I'll offer the at-home piece again in
So
the same format.
Can you see the website now?
yes.
Okay. So this is just a unit of the curriculum. I just picked at random.
Uh-huh.
And you can download you can pay and download the whole curriculum. You can download a sample, but also right there where it says download SBC at-home guides. And
We can't see that. Scroll down.
the at-home guide is free. Sorry, what did you?
Yeah, scroll down. We couldn't see that part.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Uh-huh.
Can you see it now?
Yes.
Right here.
Uh-huh.
And I probably don't want to download it. I've got a sample of it and that I can show you in a minute. So they did that, Elisa, during the pandemic, but I think that it's going to be useful going forward.
Mhm.
Also, they made it so that we could make kits, like, and pull out some of the activities, and they would suggest some activities to pull out. But that, I think we're going to keep doing that. I don't know. I don't want to jump in on what you're doing.
No, I don't think we're going. I'll probably continue an at-home piece if this is what we've studied, but I don't think I'll go to the great lengths that I went to last year. But we're fully back in person, and
Right.
most families are.
Do y'all think that the PCUSA store will continue to offer the at-home things? But the reason why I'm saying that is I'm not sure we're going to go back to a traditional Sunday school on Sunday mornings, but we want to offer something.
I think
Right.
so. The new units haven't come out yet. They come out at the end of July. So we'll know better at the end of, it's the end of the July. So
Yeah.
sometime
Okay.
this week we'll know better if they're going to have that. But
Okay.
those activities, honestly, are usually the ones that I would use in Sunday school because they really were very engaging and use the least supplies and that sort of thing. So, yeah. And they have a nice little worship piece at the beginning. So if you wanted to incorporate any of what the Sunday school lesson was about in your worship service, there's really great recommendations at the start. It's really well-written curriculum.
Oh, that's great. So the worship piece, is that used like for children's church, or is that used for like children's sermon?
No, actually more like it just in your entire worship service.
Okay.
Just ideas to incorporate into the entire service. You could use it for the children's sermon, but this is a lesson.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So at the very beginning of the lesson, it has intergenerational and home ideas.
Can't see that.
So it's got some for each session. So it's got a service idea, at home education. This is not the piece that I was pointing to with the red button. This is just in every piece of curriculum that comes out. They have all of that for each session that's in the unit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So I had those pages, and then it starts into this is the actual lesson for a classroom. So that all of that is available for every session that you're doing in the unit. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so even the intergenerational and the home ideas come with the unit, but if you want to buy the extra at-home kits, that's different?
The extra at-home kit is different, but it's free, so you don't have to buy it. You just buy the units, and then if you decide you want to do at-home stuff, they just went in and tacked that on at the end during pandemic times. But I bet they'll keep doing it. I bet they will, and they'll at least be there for all the ones they did already, which was a lot of them. So.
Do they follow? Is it like chronological order? Are they following lectionary? What are they doing?
It's random, but you get to choose how random it is. So like last fall, I went through creation story and then moved to some Old Testament, Abraham and Isaac, and then to the birth of Jesus. And this fall, we're going to go through Exodus. And then, so I'm sort of piecing the units together. So
it's in the order of the stories. Well, it's not even that. It's not
No.
even that. Yeah, but it's basically they did Old Testament, some Christmas, some New Testament. Well, Jesus, like parables and stuff, and then they did early church. So you can kind of make it flow like you want it to flow.
Okay.
But it does not follow the lectionary or anything like that.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I do have another question. If we choose not to go with a, standard every Sunday morning class, do y'all think that this curriculum could be easily done at home?
Yes.
Yes, but so let me talk about what we did with it, and then maybe that will answer that question, and maybe
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
So when we were not in person at all, well, we're still not in person at all because we have a very tiny group of children here at the church, and they're being extra cautious. So we have adults back in person, but we don't have any kids back in person yet. And even when we are back in person, we don't do a traditional Sunday school. We do during children's church, they come out and they're going to use one of these lessons for children's church. So it needs to be trimmed down, like you were saying, Kara, to the 20 to 30 minute, probably 30 minute lesson. But last year when the pandemic happened, we decided that we were going to try and include our kids. Well, it happened right around Easter, of course. And we usually do an extravaganza, which is community kids. So we tried to do a Easter basket of activities for anybody that might have come to the extravaganza. And then we had some people that were really excited about that, and they kept wanting more. So then we started doing the Sunday school. We would send basically the lessons and some craft activities or links to things that they could go learn more about, different things like that. We sent those home about once a month. Sometimes it was every 6 weeks, to families who would just come and pick up their kids here. Now, those people weren't people who come to church here. They were people who maybe send their kids to youth group or Bible school, or they might have been Mother's Morning Out families, just different. They're connected to us in different ways. Some of them were grandparents that sent them to their grandkids. And so we realized we were reaching a lot more children in the pandemic than we were before the pandemic, when it was just us. So we're going to continue, not to the scale that we did it before, but we're going to continue to do a unit every 2 months. We're going to send out a unit and let families keep learning those stories and trying those activities. Just because we felt like, really, we were sending it to about 25 kids as opposed to 2, and so that seemed to us to be a ministry worth keeping, even if it's not exactly the same. So we're going to use the curriculum for children's church when we have kids, and we're going to use it for sending home kits all through the year, and just see how that continues to work, if that makes sense.
It does. Thank you. So
we would be using that little red button that says download the at home, and then it gives you more ideas in there than you need, and we just kind of go in and edit, and it's a document that you can change yourself, so you can add in the things you like, you can take out the things you don't like. You can say, we're going to provide you with watercolors this month, or you can take that out. You can just edit it however you want to say what's going to be in the kit and what they're going to need to locate at home. So.
And I didn't provide any supplies. I just listed what the supplies were that they would need. But the curriculum has a lot of YouTube links to music videos or people reading stories. There's a great connection to literature with the curriculum.
Children's books, yeah.
So, and mine was just a PDF that went out each week. So you could just click on whatever it is you wanted to watch or read.
And I'm pretty sure that's what Catherine did, McGregor.
So she did Super Sundays, I think is what she called it.
But I think she sent the lessons out, and then once a month they would come to the church and do an activity based around the stories they did Jacob and Esau for a month, but they would come and just do a little piece of it at the church with the kids outside last year. So that's another way to use it that would be kind of in person. And so, you could use that for Elisa, your program that you're doing, you could use that as the content.
Yeah, that's well, I was going to talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, sorry.
Maybe we could, what I was thinking is, my mind's going, I was thinking maybe we introduce the unit and then send it home with the kids with the supplies they need and that kind of thing. Okay.
Yeah, it would work for that, I think.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
And when you did the send home kits, what did you do? Or maybe I missed it, but what did you do? Did you have something for them to come together with, or you just send them, or the kits were sent back?
Well, they would come by. We would just do a distribution here. We'd have the kits for them at the church, and they would just drive by and pick them up because we were trying to be really careful. A lot of these kids were little kids, and so we just let them come by and pick them up from us.
Okay.
And then sometimes they would have a response part that they would email back to us, or they'd send us pictures of the kids doing stuff. I do have a couple of pictures if I can get to them. This is us. Maybe. I have so many things open. Can you see that?
Yeah.
So this is Lois handing out some of our packets. We did put them the first time in a like a shoebox, a plastic shoebox. But then after that, we just gave them a big Ziploc bag, or we could use, Kara's got some cardboard boxes that would also be useful for that. Let me see, stop share. Let's see if I can get, okay, so this is Ruby. This is our kiddo that comes to church.
It's a model photo.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It is.
This is Ruby, and she's going into 4th grade, and she's really the only child that comes to our church and belongs to our church regularly. So we had to get a Ruby photo in there. And then, but we had some little guys also doing it. And this is Will doing his, there were seeds and soil, and they could go and plant.
Okay.
Seeds. I think that was creation last year.
Mm-hmm.
And even the cat is interested.
Even the cat.
Right.
I think that cat has died since then too. So we might have we have a nice little, he was a very old cat. Anyway, so those were just, we would send home some of the supplies. They did tell us we sent home too many of the supplies, and they didn't really need us to keep sending, like we would send home little tubs of glue and stuff, and they were like, yeah, we've got glue. just send us the main stuff. So we'll simplify it some this year when we send things home. But
okay.
Our biggest problem was we had kids who were like 5th grade and kids who were like 3, and trying to hit a happy medium on activities was hard sometimes. But we just tried to put a variety of stuff in there and hope for the best. So,
all right.
Does that make sense, Pat?
Yeah, thank you.
So that's Growing in God's Love, the traditional model, and the at-home kits, and also using it as children's church is basically, I guess, the same as Sunday school, but just condensing it a little. So Lisa, you talked to us about y'all's new idea.
Well, ironically, we wanted our youth group, you know, how there's always seems to be, you know, youth come in like groups. Yep. And unfortunately we have fortunately 4 or 5 kids graduated all in one year, and it left us with 1 or 2 scragglers, and our youth group was decimated. We tried to join in with another, you know, Clover Press youth group, but y'all know that's really hard to do. Although Clover Press was very, very accommodating. But anyway, what we noticed, or the education team noticed, is we had a really great core group of younger kids. We're thinking if we could start getting them, you know, as a group, gelled as a group, then we kind of have to cut our losses and say we'll do the best we can with the ones we're going, but let's focus on what we do have. So we came up with the idea of we were calling it CIA to make it something fun. It's Christians in Action, and it was going to be a monthly gathering of fun things that we were going to sneak Christian education. And the first one was going to be a spend the night at my house, and we were just going to talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. But then we had my husband's big in astronomy. So when it got colder, we were going to take him out with his telescopes and let them look at stars and talk about Abraham and what it really means, you know, to say your descendants will be as numerous as the stars. We have a family that has a horse farm, and we were going to take them out and show about the care that you have to do with horses, and yet how much, and I called it horse sense on the farm, but how much more God cares for us. So we had all these great ideas, and our first one was scheduled for March 18th of 2020.
Oh no. Oh, so this was the plan before. I didn't realize that.
No. So obviously, and that was to spend the night at my house, so it got canceled. But since then, we don't have a lot of kids, and part of the reason we were even hoping to do this, most of our kids do some sort of travel something, if it's cheerleading or soccer or something, and we have some that are, you know, with the parents every other weekend kind of deal, and unfortunately we can't get them all in the same weekend.
Right.
So there are times they're even pre-pandemic, there were times when I would do a children's sermon and I'd have to say, this is for the children of God, because we didn't have but one kid there.
Yeah.
So we were trying to think of how we can try to gel this group for the future. We had no idea that what was going to happen. We have been in person outside beginning last June, and then we've moved inside. So we've actually been, back for a while, but our kids are just not coming back.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, I know the parents I talked to, a lot of them are involved in soccer, but a lot of even our teachers are saying, hey, we kind of got used to having our coffee on Sunday mornings, just enjoying our time at home. I did start an adult Zoom Bible study when all this happened, because I wanted us to have some sort of Christian education. And we were meeting, I had one class at 10 and one at 6:30, so we could get everybody. And then once our church opened back up, I did the 10 o'clock in person, but then the 6:30 was still by Zoom, because we actually have people that have been worshiping with us that found us
from all over.
Yeah. So we don't want to, take them out. I'm hoping that Rhett at Grace might be able to help us. They've got a hybrid thing with the OWL, and we'll of course see how the Presbytery meeting goes on August 22nd. But anyway, I think when I'm talking with the folks in the education team, I'm thinking we're going to try to kick off the Christians in Action, the CIA group, again with our younger kids. And I'm excited about seeing how GGL could introduce the unit and hand out the supplies they need. And so that parents
there was one that I know we sent the families out to go in the backyard and look at the stars. So that would fit. Well, I can't remember now whether it was Abraham or Creation. I'll look back and see what I got. Abraham.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if you're going to get those kids back, doing some activities like that, some outings, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the only way we're going to be able to do it. My hope is that I could start it, but then we're going to have to get other sponsors. Because when I was talking to the session not long ago, they really like the idea of my continuing doing the adult Christian Ed on Wednesdays, and the idea of my doing the children's.
Of course they like that.
I'm like, I'm a part-time pastor. But I also know that this year and a half, it's been tough. It's been really, really hard on everybody, and so I'm looking at opportunities. I'm hoping that if we can put some energy and be excited about something new, something better, we're doing something different. And I'll talk in a little bit about the webinar and how that helped me and others, I hope. So anyway, and then our youth group, like I said, we don't have really much youth at all, but I'm thinking even if we did some things, even with the older youth that have already moved on, and even involving whole church activities like going on a whitewater rafting trip or doing something, and just seeing if there's interest or if we just need to kind of cut them loose. I'm not sure. We've not been successful with, even I've worked with Matt at Oakdale, and of course it was Sam Roberson before John came in at Clover for us to try to do something together. But when I was a Christian educator at Clover and we tried to do that, it was basically like the smaller churches were sending their kids, to Clover, which was great. We welcomed them, but it wasn't their church. So that problem still exists.
Yeah. Pat, what are you guys doing for children at what's it looking like I guess you've been gone for a while, but.
Yes, I've been gone, and Reverend David Spot told me he was going to be on with the Christian Ed person, but I don't see them online, and I'm not certain, other than we're doing Zoom adult Bible study on Sundays.
Great.
But they had plans to do something for the children, but I'm not prepared at this time to address it.
That's okay. That's all right. I just thought I'd check in and see what the ideas were out there. So I think that we've covered kind of our children's options, and Elisa started us in with the youth, and Kara, you guys are doing faith questions. Is that right?
Yeah. So this also is from the PC USA store, and it's great questions that youth are asking. Again, there's more material in this than you can use in one session. So I'm able to break it up into two or sometimes 3, it depends. And we don't have youth it's rare to have a youth every week. So it's nice to do the same topic and same lesson 2 weeks because you're catching 2 different sets of kids. And then they have a free coffee house version online, and then also free resources. So the coffee house guide's just like a condensed discussion guide. I like the curriculum because it has some really great activities and thoughts in it. But
is the coffee house, is it geared toward youth also, or is it like young adult, or is it all the same kind of?
It's all the same questions.
Okay.
I mean, it's definitely less activity based and more discussion based. So yes, that lends itself to older because our youth still really like the activities to get them, engaged, forced engagement. But yeah, this is we've used several things, and we're happy to find this and settle on it. It's all different topics. So I let them choose what topics they want for the year.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That is neat.
Okay.
Our youth Sunday school, again, there were 3 of them until the pandemic, and my 2 just graduated. So now there's just poor Abigail. And so I think that we're kind of moving our content to youth group. We do have some kids that come to youth group that don't come to Sunday school. They belong to other churches or whatever. And so we're hopeful that we can kind of build the content in the youth group time. And those kids have come regularly all through last year. We met outside, and we're doing some mission projects this summer. So, but we're thinking that that's going to be kind of take the place of it's going to be Sunday school and youth group, I think, going forward. So.
Okay.
Edie, how were you able to integrate kids that are going to other churches to feel like that faith could be their home base for youth group?
They all come with somebody. So they've all been friends. I mean, yeah, we're not a great recruiting church. I mean, for kids, because my kids are kind of introverted, and but really all the kids that are faith kids are kind of introverted. And so, but we've had some good friends that have come along. The question for next year is whether Caroline's friends keep coming, because they're both in high school still. She's going off to college, but whether they continue to come with us is up in the air a little bit at this point. But we have some younger ones who they've been involved with stuff. They were Bible school kids. One of them was a Mother's Morning Out child, but she's friends with the younger youth that comes, and so they've come with Abigail. They belong to the Catholic Church, but they come here and do everything we do youth group wise. So we don't have a large group. It doesn't. I mean, don't let it sound like we have a giant and thriving youth group, but we've got some good dedicated kids who've been coming regularly. So.
Well, if I could ask y'all, all the 3 of you this, we had the camp in the van at Bowling Green, and we had 27 kids participate, which is not unusual because it's just, all parents are looking for something for their kids to do. Did anybody do the cafe curriculum, the at-home Bible, the Vacation Bible School from PCUSA?
Not this year.
We did it just because we thought, well, this will be an opportunity for us to send it out. If we were going to start the Christian in Action, that's going to be like not on Sunday mornings, do y'all think as parents, if we sent invites out to the kids that participated, would they might be receptive, or do you think the parents would feel like, wait a minute, we just?
Oh no, definitely.
I think I would do
always looking for things for their children to be involved.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So Elisa, but this has been a few years, and actually this is kind of where those kids started coming. Now that I think about it, when my kids were little, we started doing this. We called it Super Sunday once a month, which is where Catherine got the name, but it's not what we were doing. Wasn't really what Catherine was doing. But we kind of made it like one afternoon of Bible school once a month, and used a couple of different curricula. But we would just invite all the kids that came to Bible school, invite them to invite their friends, anybody we had contact with, we would invite them. And it was never huge either, but we had like 8 or 9 kids come in pretty regularly on a Sunday. And the 2 little girls who were 7th and 9th grade came to that when they were in 1st grade. I mean, they've been coming all the way through. They don't belong to our church, but they know our church as well. It's like, I mean, it's just kind of funny. Yeah, so it was an afternoon. I find that kids are more likely to come, even if they belong to another church, they might come in the afternoon with their friends, because they can still go to their Sunday school if they have one, or they can sleep in or drink, I mean, whatever, but they can come in the afternoon and have a fun. So we do recreation, we do an art project, we do a Bible story and some music, and that would be our once a month activity with those kids. So that's kind of what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, actually, you just inspired me because I'm thinking maybe we should start with a camp in a van reunion party.
There you go. There you go.
Okay. And I'll share with you what I've done too with the children earlier this year with my older grandchildren back in Clover. They had friends that were coming over all the time.
Uh-huh.
So what I did was from that group started a Finance 101 for the team. So therefore now I'm building on that, and we started on a Zoom and we will continue on Zoom. And right now I'm going out now I've sent out for sponsorship to possibly give the children some money so they won't have to go to worry about making the money. And we'll come back and do some investment. So it started those children meeting on Saturday, Sunday, whatever time, and building from that.
I really like that.
Yeah, Pat, what age group are you talking about? Like
teenagers, mine were teen. Yes.
That is awesome. And are you doing the Finance 101 just based on,
No, I'm not. I'll be integrating a little bit, but I've started with a young man who would work with me for the past several years with the summer enrichment program. And he's doing the, what's the other piece of finance where you go out to stocks. We started with stocks. So this is where we are going to build from stocks. And then I'm working with another group from Rock Hill that will probably bring in the piece for banking and finance. So I'm just building it as we go along.
Can I send my kids?
Surely. Well, on Saturdays, we'll probably start.
Now
we should have started it earlier.
And you say you're doing it by Zoom?
Yes, it's via Zoom.
That's great.
That is great.
Okay. And it hadn't cost any money yet, just my paying for the Zoom, but I feel by the time we get some scholarship in here, that'll pay for itself. Yeah. So that would be there.
That is really smart.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other teenage type ideas or thoughts? All right. What about adult ed?
We use 3 different curriculum at First Presbyterian. The first I don't have a book of, but it's the Being Reformed series. And our young adult parents use that series. They like it because it's topical. It's a nice foundation to the Reformed faith. They also can stretch the material into multiple weeks. So a 6-week study can end up being, 8, 10 weeks easily. They like the scripture and the prayer and the discussion questions. They feel like are a really good start to their discussion together. So that's the Being Reformed series. We have a class of older adults that use this interpretation Bible study series. They like going through the books verse by verse, and that's what the series does. And they said that it's very, very well written for just a lay person to understand, and it asks thought-provoking questions. I asked all my teachers. I said, I need a line or 2 about what. So, and then the last one that we use is the Present Word Uniform series. The teachers like it. This is the worship leaflet. And one teacher in particular really likes the worship leaflet and the prayers. I guess there's hymn suggestions in here as well. But we purchase the leader guide for each of the leaders, and then the participant guide for each of the participants. We also, as a consequence, end up with an entire stack of participant guides and leader guides and worship leaflets. So if your church is interested in using a past uniform series, I would be happy to send this to you, because I can't bring myself to throw it away. We spent good money on it. But they like the weekly scripture readings that lead up to the Sunday lesson, or the daily scripture readings, sorry.
Hoover had somebody that could use recycled curriculum. I can't remember who, but Hoover Haney, talked to him about.
Okay, I will. I reached out to the office, and they mentioned one church, but then they weren't interested. So
they weren't interested, Kara, in the Present Word.
Correct. Okay. Yes.
We have that too.
Yes. So that's what we do with our adult Sunday school classes.
Anybody else?
Well, our adults, of course, we've not had Sunday school at all since the pandemic. And as I mentioned earlier, I started doing the Wednesday classes, and but we also recognize the fact that if we choose not to go back to traditional Sunday school, let Sunday be about worship, we do know that there are some folks, our church has mostly older folks, that would really miss, and they'll still come on Wednesdays. So it's not about that, but there's something ingrained in them about you got, Sunday school on Sundays. So our adult class that used to meet all the time with a great teacher, they use the present word. And so I just talked to him right before I went on vacation about us offering, that Sunday school class, so that any adults that want to come, if that's how the education team goes, that we will have an offering there, and that'll be year round, even in the summertime.
Mhm.
And then we're going to continue the Wednesday Bible studies at 10 and 6:30.
Very cool. Very good. Pat, what do you guys use for adult ed? Do y'all do adult ed?
We do adult, but I'm trying to think of that. We did a couple of curriculums, and I have the names with me, but I want Reverend Davis to share that in the past. And since I've been up here, I hadn't been able to attend because it conflict with my time.
Right.
So past 2 months, I hadn't been in Bible study, but when I left, they were not using a curriculum at that time. They were just going through the books of the Bible, Paul's. They were going through Paul's writing, and once with Paul, after Paul, they went through another group, but I can't remember right now what it is, but it was not a designated curriculum at that point.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I'm hopefully that I can get you some more update as soon as I hear from him.
Yeah, I know that there are a number of adult curricula that are in the resource center and things like that, a number of options. So I guess if people are watching and they have questions about adult curriculum, maybe they can just give us a buzz.
Maybe they can, yes.
That would be good. So any other questions or thoughts about any of what we've talked about so far? I wanted to take just a minute and introduce the Follow Me curriculum, which is coming out. I think just became available. It's also coming out from the PCUSA. It is based around practices, spiritual practices. I was listening to the introductory video, and it says it's based around practices that Jesus modeled, embodied, or taught. So that right now there's just three units that are out, which I think are Welcome All, Follow Jesus, and Confess, I believe. But we're going to go to the website in a minute, and we'll look at that a little closer. But what they're trying to do with Follow Me is to introduce a practice, and then all the ages across the board can follow that practice. So there is curriculum for little ones and for multi-age children and for youth and for adults. All based around whatever the practice is. So I helped write with the Follow Jesus one. So I will talk about that just briefly. But the idea there also is an intergenerational activity in each unit. So you could have everybody study in whatever. Okay, so let me back up for a second. The children may have a different scripture than the adults, but they all are studying the same practice. So when we were trying to write, sometimes the appropriate scripture for adults didn't really seem like one that the children were going to grasp onto. And so they might not be studying the same story in a day, but they're studying the same, the same practice and the same theme of that practice. So then you can do either at the beginning or the end, you could do an intergenerational gathering and look at the practice all together. There's also children's bulletins that go with it. There's congregational helps that go with it. In the congregational guide, let me read you. In the congregational guide, there's the essay in everything. There's the essay about that practice, and then there's worship helps, a cafe discussion guide, an intergenerational session, curriculum connections, home ideas, and the children's worship bulletins. And then you can just get that, or you could do the young children leaders guide, or you could do the multi-age, however it suited your congregation. And I'm going to try and share this website. just so we can take a look at. These are the practices. Can y'all see the practices?
Yes.
Okay, so the ones that have just come out are right here, the Follow Jesus, Welcome All, and Confess. But they're going to keep rolling them out by quarter. So they don't have to be done in any particular order either. You can pick and choose. Although right now you can only pick and choose from the first 3. but eventually you'll be able to pick and choose whatever order you want to do them in. And they've got these different components. And there also are really cool posters. That's not going to show us that. Of course. There's some cool posters that go along with it so that every grade can use. I think I've got one in here. And there's a little introductory video we can watch if you want to watch it, or you can just go watch it later. Whatever y'all feel like doing. This is a stop share. This is an example of the infographic posters. They're like the ones that came out with the confirmation curriculum a couple years ago that were really graphic and easy to follow. So theoretically, any age can use this. I was writing for the multi-age, and I was not sure that the kindergartners were really going to get a lot out of those posters, but I think that the youth and the adults definitely would, and the older children also would enjoy those. So
those graphics in the confirmation curriculum, and I'm sure those as well, they really do help make connections between themes and stories. And yes, that's huge.
Yeah. I'm a very visual person too. So for me, those really helped. Just the confirmation ones too. That I think it's one of the same artists that did the ones for the confirmation. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. So anyway,
buy just the posters.
You can. I'm pretty sure. I was just looking at it. Where was it? Down here. Yes, you can just buy the posters.
Okay.
I don't know I don't know how to see what you're going to get.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But I mean, it tells you what those units are that are coming out. It might be that you go to or maybe the Presbytery office gets a set and we can look at it or something. Because it would be helpful to be able to see what's actually coming on them.
Absolutely. Yeah. You did mention that it comes with children's worship bulletins. Do you all use children's worship bulletins, and do you have a recommendation?
Well, like I said, we've just got Ruby, but we were using the ones that you get the subscription to. I can't remember that, like lots and lots of churches have, but they weren't really lining up with things like we wanted them to. And so for a little while we used the illustrated ministry. We liked the illustrated ministry, but it's hard to get. I don't think they go along with, I can't remember right now whether they go along with the lectionary or not.
They follow the lectionary, but we're not following the lectionary. So.
Well, and David went to the narrative lectionary, so there's nothing. I'm having trouble finding anything. I mean, I like the narrative lectionary fine, but I can't. It's finding resources for it's a little bit harder.
Right.
And right now he's just preaching about Samson, and I'm for 6 weeks. What? What am I supposed to do with that?
Is he going to get his hair cut during that time?
Maybe. He should have done this last summer when his hair was really long. That's brilliant. Oh, I forgot I'm being recorded. Anyway.
Lisa, do you all have children's worship bulletins?
Yeah, yes. And ours do follow the lectionary, and they're just the typical ones that you see, but we've quit offering them. Now we do have little bags, like the little Christian education bags that the kids can pick up, but they're staying unused right now because we don't have kids coming to worship.
Right. Yeah.
Ours also. Wait, I was going to see if I could find you a children's bulletin to see what they look like in here. You may have gotten this little catalog, but so this is it. Kind of, I think that's children's.
Oh, the Follow Me.
Follow Me. Yeah. So it.
Okay.
Can you see it? It does come with a.
Yeah.
So it would be around the themes. So if the whole church agreed to do these themes, it would be really cool to keep it all tied together.
Yeah. Okay.
So I don't know if there are churches that are looking at doing that, but there's a lot of resources, and it looks like a super flexible. Like there's different pieces that you could do different things with for big churches, little churches, whatever. So that's all I know about that.
That looks good.
Any other curricula that anybody's been looking at or wanted to share about?
I went back to a couple of my emails and I did pick up a couple of the curriculum that we did at Herman. One of them was the woman in the Bible and the letters of Paul. Those are two. And I was looking for the piece that we said about the children, but I hadn't found that yet.
Okay,
But those were the two that most recent ones we did.
great.
All right, so it's women in the Bible and letters of Paul.
Yes.
Okay.
And the study of Revelation.
We had kind of a random thing last year because we were when the pandemic, when everything shut down. I had one of my Mother's Morning Out moms. They're not members of the church. This may be heretical for me to say this, but they're not members of the church. She just came to me and she said, wouldn't it be fun to read through the Bible with people, like to read through the Bible this year? And she, we all thought that we were going to be back to be able to meet together in a month or two. But she kind of coordinated this chronological reading of the Bible. There is a Bible that's got it. It pulls the scriptures that go together time-wise. And so she led us, and we really were just reading on our own, but she pulled in some extra resources and maps. She's an archaeologist. She has no theological training at all, but she had her archaeology and maps and interest in that. And so she would so we did a Zoom meeting every day, once a week for a year. And we read through the whole Bible with this little group. Some of the folks were coffee moms that were young, and some of them were our older adults. And so we didn't have an official curriculum, and we probably should have, but we learned a lot of cool things together. And we read through the whole Bible. We were kind of proud of ourselves after getting through all together in a year.
So what was the study Bible you used? Do you know?
I'll have to send it to you. It's called the Chronological Study Bible, I think is what the name of it is. While you talk about the pre-pandemic, post-pandemic webinars, I'll go see if I can find it on. I'll see if I can Google it. But it was a handy. It just pulled like say when you're talking about Paul, it would pull some of Paul's writings and some of Acts together, so you could see kind of where he was traveling and what. There were more examples than that kind of pulled pieces together for me, and I was like, oh, well, that makes like it would do the Psalms, and I don't know. My brother would say that it doesn't really match up. He would be real strict about whether they match up or not. But it was cool for us to kind of look at that and see just the way that those people tied it together. Anyway.
Yeah, I thought it would be very easy, Lent 2020, to do a walking to Jesus to the cross.
Yeah.
And I found I had to, and I did the sermon series, but I will tell you, it's very difficult to kind of figure that out. So that was good. So
yeah,
I would be interested.
Okay, I'll while you're talking, I'll go Google it because I know about the videos.
Yes.
Will you share with us a little bit about the webinars?
Yes. First of all, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because I know that y'all have been a part of this, but the last one we had was on June 22nd. And it was really, as I shared at our EEMT meeting last week, I thought, oh, I don't want to sit down for another webinar, but it was so good. And part of it was, it allowed me just to say, hey, take a breath. All of us don't really know how we're figuring this out. If we think we're going to go back to traditional everything, just forget that. Let's look at this opportunity that we have to do something new. So there are a lot of powerful things. And by the way, I did a little synopsis of my notes, and I can send it to anybody that wants anything. But the powerful moments for me were when Victoria Atkinson White at Duke University, Divinity School, just says sometimes the best way to move forward is just to stop. And then we had Michael Jr.'s break time say, hey, before you want to figure out your to know your why, you need to know your what, discover your what. So I've actually talked to several of the elders and everything, and we're moving toward trying to think outside. I hate that cliche. Think outside the box. I'm going to think outside the circle this time. One of the things that's going to be a challenge for us, but a good challenge, is we've had so many people kind of glob on to virtual stuff, because I think a lot of people in the world are feeling very lonely and looking for community somewhere. And one of the pitfalls they said is don't call it in person as real worship and online as virtual. So it was really important that we recognize that both are authentic ways of worshiping. We have people each week that worship with us on Facebook Live, and they're making comments throughout the whole time. I don't have a clue who these people are.
It's
They
just
also,
it's good they're not talking out loud in church, right?
well, actually, there are a few comments that are made here and there that I'm like, y'all need to be paying attention to that. But they even talked about that we need to have digital deacons, and those that are on Facebook Live while people show up, and when they're making their comments, welcome them. And the digital deacon, while worship's going in, say, welcome to Bowling Green. We're glad to have you here. Let us know that you're worshiping with us, so that they feel like they are a part of that community. And of course, one of the things, as we've already talked about, is really thinking about how we can do Christian education, faith formation differently, not only for kids, but youth, adults, and to let adults off the hook. If what they really, really want to do is have that cup of coffee with their spouse and then come to worship, that's okay. That is okay. One of the goodies that we got was Yale offers a Bible study. It's free, but you must register. And I've taken a look, and our Wednesday class was looking at we kind of flip-flop between doing something that's topical and then going to something that's scriptural. And they had said, we'd love to walk through like one of the Gospels, like Luke or whatever. And I'm thinking, I started looking at different things I could do. And lo and behold, Yale has it already here. And I've looked at a couple, but our education person's doing the rest of it. But one of the things I thought we could even, use as a hook for this is, how many of us can say that we've been to Yale?
There you go.
So the idea is that if we have a host at each of the sessions, we could watch the Bible study, or they can even review it ahead of time, and then we just get together to discuss. So I think one of the things about the post-pandemic webinars, I think this best thing, at least the last one for me, was not feeling like I'm a failure because I can't get the church back to what we were in February of 2020. And then thinking, rather than feeling like a failure, say, hey, we've got challenges now. And how can we make it even better? Because I'm going to tell you, one of the things they said is, if we thought we could use now the pandemic as our excuse. And the truth of it is, the mainline churches have been declining. We've not, but this has forced us to say what really matters and how best can we do this. So I'm going to put in my little plug then. We have another workshop coming up, our webinar on Tuesday. And this one is building community and relationships in the post-pandemic world. It's only that we had 4 of them scheduled, and they were $10 a piece, or $25 for all. But now with the remaining 3, you can get $21. It's only $21. Or if you only want to do the one, it's $10. But it's this Tuesday from noon until 1:30, and I'm really feeling like we need help figuring out how are we going to build relationships and community. I mean, the way the 4 of us are doing right now.
Yep. What is the third? What day is the third one? Because this won't get posted to the website till Wednesday.
The next one is August 24th.
And that's John Roberto?
Yes, and that is Formation for Christian Living in a New World. And part of that is when we got soccer parents that are out there in the field watching their kids on a Sunday morning, we no longer look at them and say, you heathens. And then the last one is September the 28th, and it is Planning for 2022 and Beyond, a faith formation planning clinic.
Very good.
And then we're going to wrap it all up with hopefully an in-person meeting with John Roberto in March.
Very good. I went to his APSI workshop, and it was fantastic. So I expect that one. Well, I expect all of them to be great. Yeah, that sounds good. All right. I was going to share the Bible. This is the Bible that we used. Can you see it?
Yes.
The 1 Year Chronological Bible. And I don't know that I would recommend buying the Bible, because it chunks it up so that you can read it without having to turn the pages. But then if you ever wanted to look anything up later, I think it'd be really hard to find it. But you can go on that website, the website of the 1 Year Chronological Bible, and they have just a reading chart. And so I just printed the reading chart and used the reading chart, and I looked it up myself.
Did you use the NIV?
Well, I used my own Bible, but if you order this Bible, it's NIV. But so, okay, what I should have done, let's see if I can get to it. You're testing my computer skills here. One here. There is a website for it. Not the Amazon one. That might be it. Maybe. I may have to send it out later because that doesn't look like the same.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna stop share. There is a chart. So if anybody that's interested, just email me at dced@aol.com and I will send it to you. So it would just say read. It actually started with Job because they said Job is not, nobody knows when Job was written. So it started with Job and Genesis. Maybe I can't remember if it combined those at all. I don't think it did. And then it would combine we read pretty much straight through Genesis. But then when we would do Exodus and they would be talking about building the tabernacle or whatever, we would jump back and forth and look at First and Second King. No, that was later. My brain is not working correctly, but it would match up scriptures so that you weren't just reading in the one spot. You would read in a couple of spots that went together. So the Bible, that NIV Bible that I just showed you, it clipped all those and put them together in the right order, but then it would be not useful for anything else later because you couldn't find what you were looking for where it should be. So I just used
So you have the chart.
There's just a chart that you can download it yourself. I'll find the link and I'll send it to you.
And y'all started this in April.
We started it in, it was either the end of March or the beginning. It happened like that right after, because she was just like, let's just do this. Because she had lots of nervous energy and 2 small children at home and she wasn't talking to any adults. And so she wanted to have some kind of connection with people. And so we started it really early. It might've been the beginning of April of 2020. And we would just meet on Tuesdays and say, hey, what'd you think about what we read this week? And we would talk about it. And she would show us her archaeological pieces that she had. And, she would bring in some extra stuff, but mostly we were just kind of checking in and keeping each other on task so that we would keep reading. And we finished it in April of this year. And we had a little party at the end because it was getting warmer and we could go outside together. And it was fun.
I love the idea that it doesn't start in January.
Yeah. Well, she said that too. She said New Year's resolutions are hard. So just pick a day. Well, I will say the chart is, it says January 1st. We just had to ignore that and keep doing it.
Do it September 1. Yeah, that'd be great. Right. I would like to, but I'll email you.
I'll send it to you. Yep.
And the fact that it started organically, that's always fun too.
Well, and I thought because she knew the moms that come to coffee, but those people aren't members of our church either. We have all these random, I keep talking about people that are, we do have a church and there are people who come to, but we have all these extraneous groups too. So we have a group of moms of little kids that meets on Mondays and we weren't able to because they all had little kids and didn't want the kids to be near each other. It was, anyway, we kind of just went home and then met on Zoom. So this gave us an opportunity to have something to talk about. And that was neat.
Yeah.
But eventually we had church members that joined us as well. And so then they got to know each other. And we'll see where that leads. You never know.
Yeah, that's great.
So, well, any other thoughts? We have talked for an hour. I didn't know if we would have an hour's worth of stuff to talk about. But so I think that what happens now is that I turn off the recording and then we are going to upload it and Jill is going to post it to the Providence Presbytery Presents website, and it will be available for the rest of the presbytery. And we hope that you guys and the people who might watch it later will find this useful.
Okay.
So I'm going to,
thank you, Edie.
I'm going to, wait a minute.
Thank you.